The Rebel Capitalist Show.
So many people think that this downturn or depression or recession, whatever you want to call it, was a result of the cerveza sickness, or better said, the government's response to the cerveza sickness. But they don't realize that the economy was incredibly unhealthy prior to that. And whatever response we had with lockdowns and whatnot, that was just the straw that broke the camel's back. That's what exposed how fundamentally unsound the economy was. And it exposed all the cracks that we had in the system. And the example I used for the video is going back to the Spanish flu. Because we do have, they're not great, but we do have GDP numbers during that time frame in American history. You know, call it 1918 to 1920 or so. And you know how much GDP went down during the Spanish flu? Almost zero. Almost zero. Barely even budged. So then just look at any chart and you can see GDP from peak to trough in the United States during 2020 going down by, call it, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but going down by, call it 10%. And that's with $4 trillion of deficit spending. So think about where GDP would have been without that $4 trillion of deficit spending. And I want to point that out because we need to make an apples to apples comparison. Because going back to the Spanish flu, how much government deficit spending did we have back then to combat that? Or how many stimmy checks went out in 1918? Zero. So if you take out the government deficit spending, I mean, you've got GDP going down by 20, 25, maybe even more percent, where comparing that to the Spanish flu, that was far worse than what we've seen with the cerveza sickness. GDP barely went down at all. If it might have not even gone down even 1%. So that's proving your point that there were serious underlying fundamental issues that what happened in 2020 just exposed.
That's great that what you did. That's a great comparison. I never heard that before. And of course, they didn't lock down everything. And go back to 2019. You remember the repo markets. What did the Federal Reserve jump from September 2019 to January 2020? They only pumped in $7 trillion.
Yeah.
And people forget that Trump was badgering Powell to lower interest rates because things were slowing down.
Mm-hmm.
And they did.
He wanted negative rates.
And it was, so the thing was collapsing before then. And people just don't want to realize it. And they forgot about it.
Yeah.
But the point that you made about the comparison between the Spanish flu, and again, when you look at the COVID, I mean, who is it killing? You know that expression, pigs can't fly? You've been to the airport lately?
That's true.
All right, though. So who's
That's
dying?
True, man. That's
42% of Americans are obese.
Yeah.
42%.
Yeah.
Look at nobody talks about building up your immune system to get in the best physical, mental, and spiritual shape you can get into.
Right.
I mean, you think I want to work out every day? You think I don't want to eat more of more cannolis or something, or Sliadell? Of course I do. You know, I try to control it. The first book I worked on back in the mid-1980s was Natural Healing. It was a Warner book. And my former wife, may she rest in peace, sold the book to Warner Books. And his doctor who helped her, he was a chiropractor, severe ulcerative colitis. At 27 years old, they wanted to take out her anus and her intestines and put it in a bag.
Wow.
And we went on the journey and she totally healed. But anyway, I have an honorary doctorate from the National University of Health Sciences for the work I've done in complementary and integrative medicine. Today, you are not allowed to talk about natural healing. The only way you will be healed is to buy a drug from the drug dealers. An allotropic drug, by the way, that does not cure any chronic degenerative disease. All it does is closes down the symptoms a little, and then makes you sicker in a whole lot of levels. And all you have to do is listen to the stupid drug ads on TV that Bill Clinton brought us and they weren't allowed before. But going back to the whole thing, nobody talks about natural healing. And what happens if you do get COVID? What should you do? How can you fight it? No, don't worry about it. We're going to wait till you really get sick, and then you can put you on a ventilator that don't work either.
All right.
But again, who's dying from it? And why are they injecting young people when the recovery rate, according to the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention, are 99.997%, and for everybody else, 99.7%. Why are they doing this to us? And why are you masking up little kids and freaking them out for the same reason they had me as a kid, my generation, hiding under a desk in case an atom bomb went off? That was really going to help, you know. When you're under a desk, the atom bomb doesn't touch you. And then when we got too big to get under the desk, they had us in the hallways with our hands behind our head in the school. And they used to say to you, if you see a flash, don't look at it. If I see a flash, I'll be dust.
Yeah.
We have the same people doing the same thing, making up the same crap. Socially distanced. Yeah, I mean, they're making this crap up. And they're doing it again. And just like they fought the Cold War and robbed us of our freedom, what's going on now, beginning in 2020, is unprecedented in world history. World history. Look at Australia. Look what they're doing. One country after another.
What do you think? How much freedom do you think we lost with 9/11?
Oh, that was the beginning of the end.
And the Patriot Act.
That was the beginning of the end. I mean, you got this clown Biden. Again, they're all clowns. He voted to give Bush the power. Violation of the Constitution, that only Congress has the right to vote to go to war. And they vote to give the El Presidente of Los Estados Unidos the right to go to war. Some little piece of shit. Who the hell are you? Hey, don't you know who my daddy is? My daddy was George Bush. My granddaddy was Prescott Bush. And he won re-election after starting the Afghan war. And going back, by the way, there's a movie that they did about me. It's only 15 minutes long. The woman playing it, her name is Doris Roberts. It's from one of my books, what Zizzy gave Honey Boy. The name of the movie is Zizzy and Honey Boy. Doris Roberts is the woman that played the mother on this TV show, Everyone Loves Raymond. And the trailer, if you go to YouTube, you put Zizzy and Honey Boy trailer, and it shows the 30-second trailer of me saying to the guy and the producer on the show, you tell them that I said we're going to lose the Afghan war. USA Today used to run my top trends every year when it was a big newspaper. And the 2000 trend was for 2001. The headline read in USA Today, anybody could see it, 2001 won't be our year, Trendseer says. And I warned that a wave of anti-Americanism was sweeping the globe. And Americans wouldn't be safe at home or abroad. So when the war began, and they're asking me why, I said, look at America's foreign policy. Bill Clinton, Madeleine Albright, on with 60 Minutes with Leslie Stahl when she's ambassador, is the price of 500,000 Iraqi children under the age of 5 that have died because of the sanctions that Bill Clinton put on Iraq worth the price? And Madeleine Albright says, yes, it is. With the Kosovo war, what's going on with the Palestinian and Israeli war, on and on and on, all the bombings around the world that the Americans were committing. As we used to say in the Bronx, payback's a bitch. So that happened. And then they banned me from TV. I used to be on Oprah, the Today Show, Good Morning. I used to be on everybody, Matt Lauer, Katie Couric, Joan London, all of them. Banned. You're either with us or you're with the terrorists. George W. Bush accusing me of being for the terrorists. The man that owns the most historic Four Corners, right over there where I'm looking at. The only place with pre-Revolutionary War stone buildings. I'm in Kingston, New York, the first capital of New York State. Right across the street, right there. The capital, this was the first capital of New York State. The Constitution that was written here, over 70% of America's Constitution comes from it. The third Dutch settlement, John Jay was a judge here. I bought those buildings I was looking to leave the country in 2010 and realized I couldn't go anywhere. There are two-bit freaks everywhere. This is my country. Love it or leave it, you leave it. This is my country. That's why I bought these when nobody wanted them, because it's a symbol of America, and that's gone. The Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, it's gone. They've robbed us of our rights right in front of our eyes, and they still have that Security Act that gives El Presidente the right to take us to war.
Yeah. Yeah. But it seems like the overarching theme here is that, number one, I don't know why, but people just cannot seem to do a cost benefit analysis in certain times. When they have fear, it seems like just the human condition doesn't allow us to do a cost benefit analysis, and people can't see liberty being taken away, or they can't see the long-term consequences or risks of short-term freedoms and liberties slowly being taken away. That's why I asked about the Patriot Act.